so you haven't read it yet. So you're probably wondering what's inside and what it's all about. It started back in December 2008, so just over 2.5 years ago, I think it was. Well, maybe that's a bit longer. Yeah, say 2 years and a couple of months, I guess. And it started when we sent out a proposal to all of the writers and artists. And the idea was to set up a collaborative piece of work, because we think collaboration is really important in all sorts of arts, sharing ideas and getting inspiration off of each other. So that was the general idea. We wanted it to work around the theme of fairy tales, so we wanted to put a book together based around the theme of fairy tales. We wanted to have illustrations, stories and poems, so we're trying to think of a way of gelling all of those together. And the idea we came up with was that each story should be set within the real world, but it should also point to a more kind of fantastical, mythical world which exists around that. And the idea was that each story should have a moral or an explanation of why things are and how they are in the world. And I guess kind of talking to people, the thing that best illustrates that idea is when you're a child, the way that you use your imagination to kind of conjure up stories to explain things that happen in the world, like big events like life and death, day and night, seasons, these sorts of things. When we're children, it's hard to comprehend exactly why they happen, and so we kind of through play we act out, or we write stories, or in some way we kind of make up reasons for why these things happen. So that was the concept that the artists had to work with, and they went away and kind of wrote their stories and did their illustrations. And I think it took about a year or so to get everyone's work back in, maybe a little bit longer with proofreading and things, but not much more over a year. So we got those back in, and I was slightly concerned because having so many different people involved, so many different styles, obviously everybody involved is really talented and very individual, they've all got their own style and the way they like to create their work. So I thought when they all came together in one book, there was a slight danger that it might be a little bit fractured, might not kind of gel together that well. But when the stories did start coming on, that was not the issue at all. It was actually really clear that in every single story there was a very clear central theme. And in fact, there's a really strong kind of overarching theme throughout the whole book, which really binds it all together. And that really is that the central character in every single story is on a journey. They're trying to figure out the world around them, kind of what their role is in that, why things are happening. And that's really true in every single story. I mean, I could give you a list of examples, but thinking a few in my head, you've got Andavari in the Coat of Seven Continents. The lead character there is really trying to figure out their place in the world. And Sonpop, who's a little boy who finds himself in the future, is suddenly trying to come to grips with the world around him. So all of the characters are trying to figure out their place in the world. And that really is where the idea of the Book of Apertures came from. It was that all of these characters are essentially from the same world, but they're all experiencing things in completely different ways. And that really is where the Apertures idea came from. They're all seeing things through their own perspective, as we all are when we're living our own lives. We're all experiencing our own lives, all doing our own things. But when we come together, it's very obvious that we're actually doing quite similar things, and we're all kind of going through the same stuff. So we're all actually part of this huge whole, and that really represents the project as a whole. It's bringing different people together, different people's art, and that's why I think kind of these collaborative projects like this are so important. Sharing off with each other, sharing ideas, and getting inspiration from everybody else. So so that was the idea behind the book, and I hope when you read it, you can that comes through. And I hope you enjoy the book as much as I've kind of enjoyed working with everybody and receiving everyone's stories. So, Phil's already said a thank you, but I'll say another one. So a massive thank you to all of the contributors to the book. It was really great. I really loved all of your work, and it was fantastic working with everybody. And a massive thank you to everybody that's come out here today to kind of support this event. It's really great to see you all here. Okay, so thank you. And I'm going to hand you...
Lazy Gramophone.